Hello friend, welcome back. Today's video is going to be sort of a breakdown of what you see behind me. We just wrapped up 2 days of filming for a podcast here in my studio. I wanted to walk you guys through everything we're using, from cameras to audio to lighting to what we're doing behind the scenes to cut the podcast in real time. I'm definitely not the podcast guy here on YouTube. I don't have the most experience producing podcasts, but the last 2 days were really fun getting to set this up. I was really happy with how the final product is looking and wanted to share you guys kind of my process as I'm learning, as I am setting this up for this client for the first time. So let me know any questions down below. We're just going to kind of walk through this vlog style, just showing you guys things really quickly before I have to tear down today. So let's get into it. Okay, so getting started with cameras, here's the view from the back of the room. We have 3 cameras. This first one here on the wide shot is the Fujifilm X-H2S, and for this we're running the 18-35. I have it set to about 20 millimeters, but this is plugged in via HDMI, just running power from the V-mount. And then over here we kind of have our first side angle. This is the Fujifilm X-T3 and the Tamron 17-70. It's set at about 35 millimeters, and this is just kind of filming both guests that are on this side of the table. Over here, we have a nearly identical setup. This is the Fujifilm X-T5 getting power from a V-mount, and we also have the Tamron 17-70 also set at about 35 millimeters, and this is filming the other side of the table. We're going to talk about this a little bit later on, but all of those cameras are running HDMI into the Atem Mini Pro ISO. We're going to get to some of these tools back here later on, but let's move on to audio. We've got the Rodecaster Pro 2, and we have all 4 mics on the table over here. These are just the Rode pod mics. Those are running direct just via XLR right here into the Rodecaster. We have 2 sets of headphones to monitor audio as we're going, and then we're feeding audio into the Atem via this dual 1/4 inch jack to 1/8 inch that runs in over here. I don't have the most experience with the Rodecaster Pro 2, but it is definitely really nice as you can do some processing inside. So the feed that we're running into the Atem should be sounding really solid with not a lot of post-production needed. Okay, moving on to lighting, we have the Kupo Junior Boom. This is booming out the Zhiyun Molis G300, and it's actually going into an umbrella, so it actually shoots up and then is diffused again once it comes back through the diffusion. So it looks kind of funny, but this light looked super soft. I was really loving the shadow fall off we were getting. It could shoot around like 5 to 6 feet, wide of diffusion. So for a wide table like this with 4 guests, I was really loving the soft quality of light we were getting. Moving on to these backlights, these are the Aperture 60Xs, and these are just routed up here via Varipole, and we actually have power kind of running all along this wall that then gets routed down here into this power strip. These are actually focusable, so these are providing kind of the backlight on our subject. We were trying to dial it in so there's not a lot of spill from this one on the guest sitting here, and likewise, the spill from this one isn't gonna be spilling onto these guests here. From there, we have a whole bunch of accent lights. So this is the Nanlite FS300B with the small rig Fresnel, and that is kind of lighting up the disc golf basket as well as the plant, just kind of giving some background separation from our subjects. On the other side, we have the Nanlite FS300 in the projection attachment, and that is what is giving us this hard streak on the wall over here. And this is sort of like the sponsor table or the product placement table. And so I wanted this to be a little bit more dramatic with the lighting, a little bit of hard light, just to one, give separation from our subjects in the background, but also highlight whatever products are over there. This third accent light is super fun. This is the Zhiyun B500 with the, I think, still unreleased Sue projection mount that zooms, but we actually got a custom gobo cut for this podcast. And so this is the C1X podcast. And then you guys can see that on the wall. We are able to zoom if need be. The only other 2 lights are what are giving us this kind of greenish blue cast on the back wall. And these are the Nanlite Pavotube 2 15Cs. And you guys will see how we have these mounted. They're actually just, I've got a spring clamp up there, and they are just friction fitting, just resting on these sound panels, giving us this kind of cast on the back wall. And then I simply routed power kind of running up above and then down. So it looks really clean and it's not in the shot. And then moving back here to the production station, wanted to show you guys a little bit more of what we're running. So we've got the atem Mini Pro ISO. We've got all 3 cameras coming in via HDMI. We have the audio feed coming in the 1/8 inch jack from the Rodecaster Pro 2. That's being routed, and then it's all being recorded to this SSD directly. So this will give us a multicam feed that as we cut in real time, it's actually creating a DaVinci Resolve project where all our cuts are there. So we'll save a lot of time editing on the back end, and we can simply also record on the cameras while we're rolling, and we can swap it all out with the raw footage really easily using DaVinci Resolve. I don't have the most experience doing it, but I'll keep you guys updated on how that process goes. From there, here is our multi-view. So you can either have program to kind of show you which camera is currently active while you're cutting, or you can have the whole multi-view, or you can simply see all your cameras. You can keep an eye on your recording as well as your audio levels. Super nice. This is just a really basic extra computer monitor that I had, and that is where the HDMI is running. And with that, I actually placed a HDMI splitter right here. So we're running out of here into the splitter, and our other feed is actually going from the splitter into this really cheap wireless transmitter. And I will show you guys that here. This is showing the same exact feed as our screen here. But I've been testing out this Shimbal. It's like an $89 wireless transmitter. Kind of interesting for the money. Hopefully we'll report back later on, but this has been super helpful. Just being able to walk over to our guests on the podcast and simply show them, hey, this is what you're looking like. You know, if you want to show off any products while you're talking, we went ahead and put this monitor just on top of this camera here so they could easily see it. They could make sure that what they're showing was actually in frame, and has been super fun just to get to start testing out. So it does add, like with the switcher, a little bit of latency to this monitor here, but it is not the biggest deal as it still provides a quick enough feed to do basic cuts. Here is the backlights only. Those are set to 100%, and we have the spot function zoomed all the way in so they're as focused as possible. And then here is our key light. This is the Molis G300. We have this set to 60% and 5600 Kelvin. I think it looks pretty good. We're gonna move on to kind of some of our accent lighting. And so here is the accent kind of on the basket, as well as the streak on the product table. I feel like that looks great. Here is the B500 that is giving us the logo. It's a little bit crooked right now because I was trying to adjust things, but it is set to 100% and 5600 Kelvin. From there, the final lights that we have are just the tubes. We're gonna turn both of those on, and this is kind of the complete lighting breakdown. I think something that's interesting when you think about podcast lighting, it is hard to light for guests like this. I think overhead is kind of the way to go. I feel like I see a lot of podcasts that are lit in more of a front lit way, and it doesn't always provide a lot of shape, but I feel like this gives just a really nice kind of shadow fall off on the table here. That's completely dark, as well as this side of me. And then kind of all the other lights just kind of tie it together, make it, you know, stand out, feel more intentional. Although, you know, just one top light overhead definitely looks good. It was really fun playing around with all these additional sources to really dial in this look. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope that you found this video helpful. I'm definitely not the most experienced when it comes to podcasts, so I'd love to connect with some of you guys who are. If podcasts are a big part of your business, they bring in a significant amount of business for you and how you serve your clients, I'd love to know. Message me down below. Maybe we can connect on Instagram. I definitely have a lot of questions as I'm getting into the podcast space and kind of considering what goes into offering this to clients. So let me know down below, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.